What's going on, guys? My name is Richard and welcome back to the channel. So this weekly trade summary will actually cover both this week and the last one because I was too busy last week with schoolwork. So let's dive right in. So overall, these are the stocks that I traded and I still own quite a bit of these. And let's start with NVCR. So overall, I bought it off the load sheet entry on the 20th. This was my entry at 130.14. I want to get it as close to this high right here, but it was moving very quickly in that morning. And then it was acting fine the next day, and then it completely reversed on the 24th. So I was stopped out very close to my entry, and then it found support at the 50-day moving average, had a positive expectation breaker on the 27th, and then a bunch of very strong days in a row, and it broke out once again on this Friday. So I didn't buy it back. I should have been paying more attention to this. But overall, I was focusing on other names, and you can't own them all. But this stock looks very strong. You've got a huge prior uptrend on large volume, and it looks very, very good. Great estimates for the next year. A new revolutionary cancer treatment, I believe. So overall, this will be on my radar for a pullback buy. Next up, we've got NET, which I made no changes to my position. I bought it back in here. Overall, trending above all the key moving averages, near all-time highs, with relative strength confirming as well. So it looks very good. CrowdStrike I bought on the earnings gap up. My entry was 161.74. So overall, not the strongest entry. You can see it actually closed below it on that first day, but then we have a really strong follow-on day on this Friday to close out the week. So it looks very good. Great volume coming in, big blue bars. And now let's talk about why I bought and when. So overall, earnings gap ups aren't my specialty. I'm still learning the trade. But overall, what I look to do is buy when it breaks above the first 5-minute bar, if that is a strong bar. So let me zoom in here, and you can see that it opened, moved all the way down basically to the pivot, and then had a very strong close, and then consolidated for 2 straight days. Well, not days, but 5-minute bars. And then I was buying here as it was moving towards this high on above average volume. So that was my entry, and that's actually what I tried to do with ZS as well. I got a little bit of a later entry there, but that stock overall is a little bit stronger. So going back to daily, let's move on to IIPR. And I tried this as it broke above this high right here, but then I was stopped out for a very small loss on the exact same day. And as of right now, it's still kind of just moving sideways and falling back to the 21 EMA. Moving on, we've got AMD, which I did add to on the strong double bottom breakout. I started the meat of my position back down in here on this day, I believe. But overall, it's acting very, very well. If we go to a weekly chart, we can see the strong breakout, good closing range at 76.3%. And looks like it will challenge all-time highs very, very soon, and hopefully that key 100 Livermore level. Next up, we've got apps, and at this moment, I think I am over trading this. I initially bought on this day as it broke above this high. I got an entry of 38.68, so a very strong buy, but then it moved up once again, and then kind of like NVCR, had a very strong reversal and stopped me out very close to break even. Then I was looking to buy back because I wanted back into this very strong stock, and I bought it as it was making its way towards this pivot on huge volume coming in. It had a nice consolidation day, and then once again, a very strong reversal. And I actually got stopped out once again on this day, but I bought it back as it moved back up from my sell point. So overall, I've kind of been fighting with this stock for quite a bit now. And I was stopped out on this day because it's one of my rules that when a stock goes up 8-9%, I move my stop up to break even. So I give it some room, but I do want to protect my entry point at that point. But if I had kind of sold a little bit up here, that would have given me some profit cushion and let me kind of hold through the 5%, 6% pullback from my initial entry. So this is something that I'm looking at introducing into my rules to sell a bit at 5% gain just to lock in some profits and let it kind of move back and forth through these normal fluctuations. So that is apps. And next up, we've got Snap, which I bought as it was showing really strong relative strength. And as it was going back up through this high, you can see it closed really nicely right near the high of the day into all-time highs. And since then has been moving up nicely on decent volume, not above average, but overall it looks very strong, trending above all those key moving averages. Next up, we've got XP, and I bought this on the 30th at 50.30, and I bought this after it pulled back below this level, and I was watching for a reversal. And overall, I had my entry with about 1.5% risk. So 1.5% risk, meaning if I was stopped out at the low of the day, I would have lost 1.5%. So I was willing to let that slide, especially because this is a very strong stock, great accumulation signs, and it worked basically immediately after I bought it and had a very strong close that day, and so far has been drifting higher, building the right side of this cup. So moving on, we've got Upwork, and I bought this off the bounce off the 21 EMA at 31.96, and so far it hasn't made too much progress. It's actually right above my entry point, and overall the stock looks very strong. It's a recent earnings gap up, a great up-down volume ratio here, and hopefully it resolves to the upside relatively soon. Moving on, we've got Futu, and once again, I bought this off the bounce off the 21 EMA, but then I ended up selling half of my pilot position on the 3rd because of the poor close on higher volume. You can see this is a downside reversal. It took out this high, but then finished right near the low of the day. And then you can see on this day, once again, we have a negative close on higher volume. So this is kind of on thin ice, but once again, it's a small part of a pilot position. So I'm willing to let it stop me out if it takes out this low of the day and the prior pivot, which was the high of this cup shape here. Next up, we've got CELH, which I bought off the teal dot setup on this day, the 27th. It had a nice close that day, then had a nice inside day on the 30th. And then I added to my position on the 1st when it took out these highs. And overall it looks strong. You have nice kind of reversal action on this Friday, even though it was down. And hopefully this takes out this high and breaks out once again. And lastly, we've got Zscaler, and overall, like CrowdStrike, I bought it off the earnings gap up setup. And overall, you can see it had a little bit of a weaker Friday because it was an inside day, although it finished right near pretty much the open here. And once again, I bought it off the 5-minute setup, although it was moving quite quickly, so I didn't get the ideal entry here. And you can see it had a strong first 5-minute bar, and I was looking to buy as it took out this high, but I was a little bit later here. So that is my trade summary from the past 2 weeks. If you enjoyed, please go ahead and leave a like down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in future videos.